Hi everyone, this is the Nordic Venture Show, your guide to the exciting world of Nordic startups and venture capital. In today's episode, we're exploring a startup called Perfat Technologies.
All right, so today we're diving into Perfat Technologies Oy.
Okay.
A company that's really been making waves lately in the world of, healthier fats.
Yeah.
And, we're going to try to, really dissect what they're doing and why it matters, particularly when we think about how we can make the fats in our food, healthier and more sustainable.
Right. And I think you've given us a pretty fascinating snapshot of this company that seems to be, really shaking things up in an area where, frankly, innovation is sorely needed.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's break down what makes Perfat tick.
Yeah, let's get into it. So, kind of looking at their recent activity, it seems like they've been all over the place. They're presenting at Future Food Tech in San Francisco in March 2025. What do you make of their presence there?
Well, I mean, that's a big deal, right? Future Food Tech, it
Yeah.
attracts, all the big players, investors,
Right.
big food companies, other innovators.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're presenting there suggests that they're ready to, show off what they've been working on and maybe, make some important connections.
Yeah, and just before that, they were also at the MISTA Symposium,
Uh-huh.
also in San Francisco. What's the difference in focus there?
I think MISTA, it's more about, collaboration and networking within the industry itself.
Yeah.
So being at both kind of shows, they're playing a double game, right? They're looking for partners, but they're also, staying plugged into the bigger picture of what's happening in the food world.
Now, this is where things get really interesting. The reported revenue growth for 2024 is a whopping 170%.
Wow.
That's not just a little bump,
No, that's a massive leap.
Yeah.
Of course, it's always important to remember that huge percentage growth is often easier when you're starting from a smaller base.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see what their starting revenue was and, what specific factors in the market are really driving that growth. They've also put out a very ambitious future sales projection, aiming for 900 billion euros by 2030.
900 billion by 2030. They even point out that that would be bigger than the current sales of Walmart and Amazon. That's a bold statement.
Yeah, it's definitely a sky-high target. I mean, it might be helpful to think about the current global market for fats and oils,
Yes.
just to put that number in perspective. But it does show you the sheer scale of the opportunity that they believe they're tapping into with this technology.
Yeah, and I mean, beyond these big numbers, there's a whole trail of other activity. In
Yeah.
February 2025, they were hiring for an office assistant and a CMO expert.
Right.
What does that kind of hiring tell us about where they are as a company?
Well, I think it suggests that they're moving beyond that initial research and development phase, and they're starting to build up their operations and their commercial capabilities.
Yeah.
They're laying the groundwork to really enter the market in a bigger way.
And they've gotten a lot of media attention. Articles in Food Ingredients, Global Europe, connected of RTL TV, Food and Beverage Insider, The World of Food Ingredients. It's a lot of visibility.
Absolutely. And that media coverage in those kinds of industry publications and even in, more mainstream outlets really helps to build awareness and credibility, among potential customers, partners, even investors.
Right. They also celebrated their first anniversary back in June 2024.
Oh, wow.
So they're still a pretty young company.
Yeah.
Which makes all this activity even more impressive.
Yeah, for a company that's only been around for a short time, the pace of their development and how much they're doing, it's really remarkable. It kind of suggests that they've hit on a really significant unmet need in the market.
And it's not just about showing up there winning awards. They won the pitching competition at FI Europe for the most innovative food or beverage ingredient, and they were a Hello Tomorrow 2024 track winner in food and agriculture. And they were even a finalist at the Hello Tomorrow Global Summit. Those are some pretty serious validations.
Definitely. Those kinds of wins, being recognized by organizations that are all about innovation and technology, that's external validation that says, hey, what they're doing has real potential, and it can really boost their reputation and attract even more attention.
And they've been at a whole bunch of other industry events, the ICOS Accelerating Sustainability Summit in Copenhagen, FI, Europe, and Frankfurt Slush, 2023, the Helsinki Tonic Business Summit, 2023. They're really putting themselves out there.
Yeah, it seems like they have a very deliberate strategy to connect with different stakeholders who are important for their growth. They're going to sustainability summits, food ingredient events, broader business ecosystems.
Yeah, and a big step for any startup. They closed a €1 million seed funding round in March 2024. I imagine that's what's fueling a lot of this momentum.
Absolutely. Securing seed funding, that's crucial for early stage companies.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them the resources to, further their research and development, expand their team, do all these market-facing activities we've been talking about.
And their CTO co-edited the most complete book on oleogels, which came out in February 2024.
Oh, wow.
So they're positioning themselves as real experts in this specific area of fat science.
Yeah, publishing a book like that shows a really deep understanding of the scientific principles behind their technology.
Right.
Makes them look even more credible.
And to round out the picture of their development, they opened their own offices and labs in February 2024. Having a dedicated space is a big step for any company.
Yeah, having their own R&D and office space gives them the infrastructure they need to innovate and work effectively as they grow.
And they've even given us some examples of what their technology can do. Cakes without bad fats, healthier chocolate, healthier biscuits, It helps us imagine what's possible.
Yeah, those product concepts are super helpful. They bridge the gap between the complex technology and the everyday foods that people understand and want. The pink cake made with Perfat fat ingredient also, shows you how versatile this could be in different kinds of baked goods.
Okay, so that's a quick rundown of what Perfat's been up to.
Mm.
Now let's really get into the heart of their innovation.
Okay.
What exactly is this Perfat lipid technology they keep talking about?
So at its core, Perfat's technology, it's all about transforming healthy liquid oils into solid fats.
Okay.
And they do this using material physics. So material physics, it's basically the science of how the structure of a material, like at the really tiny level, its atoms and molecules, how that affects its overall properties, like whether it's solid or liquid.
Okay.
And this is key. Perfat's using this understanding to rearrange the molecules in the oil to make it solid without using any chemical modifications. It's very different from traditional methods like hydrogenation.
So they're not chemically altering the oil like in those traditional processes?
Exactly. They're using these physical principles to structure the oil at a microscopic level.
Wow.
To make it act like a solid fat. It's like they're creating a tiny scaffolding that holds the liquid oil and gives it that solid-like texture.
And that allows them to keep the potential health benefits of the original oil.
Right. While still providing that functionality that food manufacturers need from a solid fat.
Okay. And their mission statement is to provide healthy, semi-solid, and solid fats for food processing. It sounds like they're trying to solve a problem that's been around for a long time.
Exactly. The food industry has been searching for healthier alternatives to conventional solid fats, many of which are high in saturated or trans fats. Perfat's trying to fill that gap by offering fats that are potentially much better for you nutritionally, but can still do the job in food production.
And they're making some bold claims about the nutritional benefits. Fewer calories, 100% less saturated fat, and zero dietary fiber. They call it a healthy fat, unlike anything else.
Yeah, those are some pretty big claims.
Yeah.
And the huge reduction in saturated fat, that's particularly important when you're thinking about diet and health.
Right.
And while not having dietary fiber is normal for fats and oils overall, the nutritional profile they're presenting, it's pretty impressive compared to a lot of the traditional solid fats used in food processing.
So essentially, a food manufacturer could replace those less healthy fats like butter or palm oil with Perfat's product and still get the same texture and stability in their final product.
That's the idea. If Perfat can actually replicate the functionality of those traditional solid fats and things like baking, confectionery spreads, then food producers can make healthier versions of familiar foods without having to drastically change their manufacturing processes or, change the taste and texture that people expect.
And they mentioned that a product could improve its Nutri-Score by up to 2 levels just by using their fat. And Perfat fat itself scores a B. For those who aren't familiar, Nutri-Score is a label used in some European countries to rate how healthy a food is on a scale from A to E.
Right.
So 2 levels is a big jump.
Yeah, absolutely. In places where Nutri-Score is used, a better rating can really influence what people buy.
Right.
So if using Perfat's fat can make a product healthier and improve its Nutri-Score, that's a big incentive for food manufacturers to use it.
They even give us some concrete examples of what they can do. Pound cake and chocolate cake made with Perfat shortening pralines, and cookies with Perfat filling, solid, healthy. Perfat fat blocks butterless butter cookies. It makes it much easier to picture how this could be used.
Yeah, I agree. Those examples are key to understanding the real-world impact of this technology. They show how it can be used in everyday foods that everyone knows.
Mm-hmm. And they keep mentioning their proprietary oleogel technology.
Yeah.
What's with the squared?
Well, they describe it as kind of a souped-up version of basic oleogel technology,
Okay.
which leverages their deep knowledge of material physics. So the basic idea of an oleogel trapping liquid oil in this 3D network that's been around for a while.
Uh-huh.
But Perfat's squared approach, it probably means they have much more sophisticated control over that network structure, maybe leading to better stability, better texture, or even better nutrition compared to simpler oleogel.
So what are the key features of this enhanced technology?
They highlight a few important things. First, innovative microstructuration based on data-driven modeling.
Okay, so they're using data to design the perfect microscopic structure to hold the oil.
Exactly. It sounds very precise and controlled, likely resulting in a really optimized product.
Interesting.
Second, they use simple and approved ingredients. And importantly, they can work with any healthy vegetable oil.
Oh, that's flexible.
Yeah, that flexibility in raw materials is a big advantage in terms of cost and availability.
Right.
And finally, they mention tailorable structural properties, meaning they can adjust the fat's characteristics, how firm it is, how it melts its texture to fit different food applications.
So basically, they're doing what they say, breaking the barrier between health and applicability in traditional fats.
Exactly. For a long time, food manufacturers have had to choose between using traditional fats that work well but aren't that healthy.
Yeah.
Or trying healthier options that might not be as good in terms of texture, stability, or cost.
Right.
Perfat wants to give them a solution that doesn't force them to compromise.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Perfat Technologies, what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Okay, well, first, Perfat has developed a truly innovative technology that uses material physics to make healthy liquid oils into solid fats without any chemical modifications.
Yeah.
That's a huge change in how we can produce solid fats.
Mm-hmm.
Second, their massive growth in 2024 and their ambitious plans for the future show that they really believe in their potential and that they're gaining traction.
Right.
And finally, their technology could lead to healthier versions of all kinds of food products by replacing those less healthy fats that are so common while still giving food manufacturers the functionality they need.
It definitely seems like they're addressing a real need in the food industry. And all this recent activity and growth suggests that they're a company to keep an eye on. Yeah, it makes you think about the bigger picture of how technologies like this could change our food and make processed foods healthier overall.
It really does. And it raises an interesting question for you, the listener. Given how quickly Perfat is moving and their focus on healthy fats, what other food categories that currently rely on less healthy fats could be next? Where else might we see this kind of scientific innovation changing the way we eat?
That's a great question for our listeners to ponder.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Perfat Technologies. Well,
You're welcome.
until next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Nordic Venture Show. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more stories of innovation from the Nordics.